overlooked. Got a lot to talk about today. Going to talk about the standout performers from Week 10, some of the biggest results. We're going to highlight a few players with their tape. The second time we'll talk about Georgia, our predictions, reveal our top six teams, and then we'll talk about some NFL news. But Craig, how you doing? It's Tuesday.
Feeling all right at 4 a.m. Couldn't go back to sleep, so today should be a lot of fun.
One of those rough days. But
Yeah,
I'll let you start, Craig. Just what result stands out to you?
I think the first one we have to talk about is South Gwinnett over Newton. That kind of set the tone for the entire weekend. It was funny. I was talking to Brandon Adams before the game, and he was doing a conference call with Archer's head coach, Dante Williams, and they were just talking about how crazy the region has been. And Brandon's listening to Coach Williams respond. He's like, "Yeah, this region's nuts. I mean, just look at last night. South Gwinnett won on the last second field goal." Brandon was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Wait a minute, what'd you just say? South Gwinnett won?" Knew that was a crazy region before that. That happened on Thursday. Thought that was a big win for South Gwinnett. It just goes to show. I think that is the best Gwinnett region. You have the other ones, obviously a big matchup this week, but top to bottom, I mean, that's just pretty impressive. Just Newton, Parkview, Grayson, Archer. I mean, that is, I think you can deem that the SEC of 7A.
And that's actually what Coach Williams actually even said. So they had a chance to win the region title, and obviously one of my results is Grayson getting a big win on the road, setting up a region title opportunity for themselves this week against Parkview. So I think that was a big result for them. Looked pretty good. It was a tough first half. Got to give Archer their credit. They looked it really good to start the game, especially the first quarter, and getting the stops and being really physical. But then Grayson kind of took it away. Got a muff punt, got an interception, converted off those turnovers to 14 points, and then broke it away with big time Dylan Elder run that extended the lead to 21-7.
It's funny. I think both coaches would feel like the final score doesn't reflect the game. For Grayson, they feel like they could have put up more points. I feel like they feel like they could have won even bigger. And then for Archer, they look at it and count in the turnovers. They feel like it was a closer game. So I think both have an argument for that. The turnovers were huge for Archer, but what impressed me about that Archer team, they're so young. The defensive line looked really solid in that game. They were great at breaking through, disrupting, matching Grayson's tempo and physicality. It's just you look at Grayson's athletes and some of the mismatches they have. It's too hard to sustain for an entire game. But thought the tackling was really good in both games, and it should be interesting. Obviously, big matchups this week with Grayson and Parkview, and then Archer and Newton.
Yeah, I think you right. And there's one you pointed out on TV too that was a really good one. Cats beating Calhoun, knocking them out of the playoffs for the first time since 1999. That was big. Cats was kind of reeling a little bit, and then being able to get that win against Calhoun, who looked really good when we saw him earlier season in the Bash.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, there's no way anyone on that Calhoun team was thinking that they'd be missing out on the playoffs. That entire region wrapped up last week. Their season is done. So a lot of these kids just think about like bringing the NIL into the future into high school when it's really picking up and kids are worried about the future and stuff. It's like you have to focus on each game because one little play doesn't go your way, you're missing out on the playoffs. One win differently, they're in the playoffs trying to make a run. And it's a abrupt ending for a really solid team that I felt could have made some noise in a pretty wide open 5A. So that was certainly tough. I think another big one that stood out is Crisp County beat Thomasville this last week, and that actually gives them the number 2 seed behind Carver Atlanta. And if you look at last year, so Crisp County got a 61-22 victory over Thomasville. Thomasville top 10 team, very good. Last year, Thomasville won that game 44 to nothing. So you basically lose by 44 last year. Now you beat them by 40, and that was a three-way tie. They ended up getting the tiebreaker because they beat them by such a wide margin. So that was a huge win for Crisp County, and I think that's another region that should do pretty well deep into the playoffs with Carver, Thomasville, and Chris. But definitely a big win for them.
For sure. And then my other one got to be Commerce winning the region title. You pointed out the play of the week yesterday. Incredible play. Just, I think, electric ending, winning in overtime, big time hitting Jordan the fumble loose, winning that game in Class C Division One. I think that was big for them and in their program and winning that game. So that's a big standout for me too, as far as just results.
Yeah, such a historic atmosphere. One of the oldest programs, small town football, and yeah, that region, Elbert County, Rabun County, and Commerce, really impressive teams. And Commerce, they just run the ball very well, and obviously their defense came up in clutch plays. Another team that I just think this is a positive development because they were really down the last few years. That's Pope. They won back-to-back games last year. Johns Creek. Those teams are struggling also, but this is what it's all about. Now Pope is going to play Sprayberry, and this is going to determine who gets the number 4 seed in that region with BT, Alpharetta, and Roswell. So you kind of have this play in game. This is a team that hasn't come close to the playoffs in many, many years. Coach O'Sullivan comes back to his alma mater, and now they're going to get a play in game. Should be very exciting. Obviously, Sprayberry is a solid team too, but just to be in position to play in to a potential playoff, I think that's really exciting for Pope. They haven't had that level of excitement in a long time.
It's a good point about you, Craig. And then my last one is Warner Robins' big time victory against Jones County. Judd Anderson sticks it to his former team in the big time region battle. They win the region title, 43-28 victory. So that's where my result comes from. Warner Robins beating Jones County.
Oh yeah, they looked really good. Cam Flowers went off, had an exceptional game. They looked very dangerous. Certainly going to make noise at 5A. And Jones County was playing really well also. I think a couple in 4A that stood out. You had the New Hampstead win over Burke County, big time win for them. That team has lost so many close games the last few seasons under Coach Hockman. To finally get a big signature win over Burke County, huge victory for them to get into the playoffs. You also had big win by Stockbridge over Pace Academy. That was probably their last test. Norcross, obviously, that was a huge win for them over Peachtree Ridge. And then also in 4A was Stevenson beating Holy Innocents. I haven't given Stevenson enough credit in 4A, but I think this is a year where they can definitely make a push into the playoffs.
For sure. And that's all my results I got. Did you have any other ones?
That's it. Let's move on to standouts.
All right, let's keep it pushing. One of mine has got to be from Colquitt County. Nye Carr, 7 catches, 137, and 2 touchdowns. For Colquitt County, we know he's recently decommitted from Georgia. Big time performance against a rival in Valdosta. They also, I think, locked up the region title as well. So big time game from him.
Yes. And then when I was watching the Grayson game, I was like, man, if this guy wins player of the game, it's going to be tough because I do not know how to pronounce his name. I'll try, but Kel, and it's Ikpechukwu. Is that it?
Yeah, I think you got it right.
Enough?
Yeah, Ikpechukwu.
Sorry about that, but I was watching him throughout the game, and I had a roster in front of me. He was doing his thing, and so it's good to see him getting the recognition. But 9 solo tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and I think he also was in on a turnover or was definitely a force factor in it. So he definitely had a big game in that Grayson secondary. So shout out to him.
For sure. And then my next one has to be giving some love to Daresville wide receiver Trey Withers. 5 catches for a school record, 211 yards, 3 touchdowns. Had a 98-yarder and an 85-yarder, and also 5 solo tackles. So big time performance from Trey Withers.
Absolutely. Daresville's having a great year. Bleckley County, they had a huge upset over Swainsboro, state favorite in that classification, 21-20, and it was Joshua Stanley, a career high 159 yards on 21 carries, and just a victory that definitely shook up the statewide poll.
For sure. And then I got to give some love to Jimmy's team, Carver Columbus athlete Tristan Givens. 4 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown. He also had 3 sacks, and one of those being for a safety. So big-time performance on both sides of the ball. See why he's an athlete, getting it done on both sides, offensively and defensively.
For sure. And then Commerce, Jaden Daniels, a really special player for them on both sides of the ball. Rushed for 156 yards, 3 touchdowns. He shares the load in the backfield. Had the game winner in overtime. I mentioned yesterday their kicker broke their leg on the potential game winner. going into the end of regulation, that's a tough thing to get over mentally as a team. Like, hey, we have a chance to win, and then your kicker goes down with a broken leg. And then to have the composure, come out with the big win was huge. And he also looked like, oh yeah, he was the one that recovered the fumble. So he had the game-winning touchdown and then sealed the deal. So shout out to Jaden, incredible performance.
Yeah, Craig actually took one of mine. He was one of mine too,
Oh,
Jaden
no.
Daniels. But no, all good, man. I'm just playing. But yeah, 156 yards, a great mission, 3 touchdowns. He's been having a phenomenal season. I think he's close to the 1,500 or 2,000 yard mark. So he's been incredible for them all year. They're going to be a tough offense to stop. I think he got 2 1,000 yard rushes already this season.
And he did it against Elbert too a couple weeks ago. Just went crazy.
Yeah. So Jaden Daniels, you're our standout performer. Keep doing your thing. My next one is Providence Christian wide receiver Caleb Lee, 16 catches for 305 yards and 4 touchdowns. Great time performance from him. Providence Christian, as you know, started 4-0. I have to check their record recently. I'm not sure how many they've been winning, but he's been stepping up big for them offensively with 305 yards.
Yeah, I think that's going to put him in the playoffs for the first time ever. Before this season, the best ever finish was 2-8, and I forgot their head coach, but he came over after serving under Jeff Saturday at Hebron, which Hebron, now they're a 3A school. They're balling out too. But I got one more. Let's see. I had it a second ago. Oh, yeah. Gainesville, Gavin Hall. I mean, what an incredible season he's having. His numbers are just massive. This guy didn't even play running back last year. He was a quarterback. Speaking of Hebron, but he ended up having 302 yards, 3 touchdowns, 19 carries, also 3 receptions, 36 yards. Just has been the MVP. And then also Sky Nibwit, I saw this stat. Doesn't get a lot of praise. Obviously, he's Josh Nibwit's son. He has 26 career touchdowns just over the last 2 seasons, and I saw some of them recently. He was always a red zone target, but he's starting to lower his shoulder in the open field, bring some real physicality. Josh Nibwood's a beast, and it looks like Sky is really bulking up physically. That entire team looks more physical this year.
For sure. They're doing a great job out there in Gainesville, one of their favorites out in 6A. Sky Nibwood hitting marks. I think he's been racking up some offers recently as well, so he's doing his thing. But I think that's it for standout performers. Those are the ones we got for the week. And we're going to keep it rolling. We got one more segment to hit before we hit our second. Just underrated player. Tell of the tape. We got 2 players, Farley Brent, senior athlete, Jordan Drill Elder, and then Athens Academy freshman Keyon Standifer. So let's go ahead and roll the tape. We're going to look at Jordan Drill Elder first. All right, let's go ahead and get a full screen. All right, here we go. There he is, playing in the box. Good PBU right there. Seeing what the coverage was. Good job getting back in. All right, we're going to see him look like he blitz off the edge right here. He sells it. Great job dropping and then coming up. Ooh,
whoa.
Big time hit right there. That was a great disguise.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. I like that right there. Okay, Elder, nice play, man. All right, same thing here. Let's see if he actually rushes this time. He's in the box off the edge. Let's see if he's going to disguise it. Another disguise. Good job sealing the edge right there, though. That's perfect. That's textbook. Okay, so I already see big time hitter. Good job selling different disguises. I was about to say because here he is, finally coming down, stopping him right in his tracks. Great time off the edge. All right, here he is again. Off the edge.
Does he know anything about this designated? One more time.
Woo! Lots of speed.
Yes.
No, that I'm
lots of speed. Okay, here he is again. Okay, he's playing a little offense right here. This is lined up at the X. Players playing off like about 5 yards. He's giving them. So free release. If you guys don't know what that is, nobody pressed them off it. Big time reception over the middle.
Nice dig route. Yep.
Okay. And you have quantities and everything.
See.
Must be a New Jersey combo. I have not seen that.
I've not seen that either. What do you think about it?
Is that?
It's yellow. Look like
Yeah.
black and yellow. Different uni. Okay, look, he used as running back. Good job bouncing off tackles. Good run.
I see it.
All right, here he is right here, coming down the hole.
Correct.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean the versatility is insane, and
Yeah.
you see physicality on both sides.
Yes. Okay, look like we got a little. He's on the Y this time. If you don't know, the X is the other side, guys. The Y is all the way on the left side. So see, look like you got another free release. This is gonna be a dig, like a post, right over the middle. I mean, you got to put some in. He's too fast if you're not going to just keep giving him free releases. So, all right, same thing here, right in the red zone, like at about the 18, 17-yard line. Nice hook. Boom. Looking to make that move inside. Big time play. All right, here he is again. Look like he's going to play a little bit of slot corner right here.
Fine. How you doing?
Okay, let's see how this looks. Good job. Free release for the receiver, but look at his speed. That's just a great PBU.
They had it there, but no, he recovered very well.
Yep, and this is the last play right here. Looks like you're playing top safety. Good job reading the coverage, turning his head. That's excellent. Yeah, so Craig, real quick, what are your standouts from it?
Just incredibly versatile.
Yep.
He's playing all these different positions. We saw the big physical hit on the quarterback, and then he's got that speed and explosive capability, great routes, isn't afraid to go over the middle, and really like his game.
I do too. I think, as Craig mentioned, the version able to come off the edge, he disguises what he's going to do well. He can play in coverage. He can come down. I think the physicality is a point you mentioned too earlier. Love his physicality, being able to stop the run if he needs to. And offensively, I mean, I think it's get the ball more in his hands. If teams are going to give him a free release, he's going to exploit that every time with a dig or a slant or a curl route. Seen that right there and turned it up for a big play. So really impressive film.
Yeah, I like that they can disguise him. Like he can just come up on the right tackle, and you don't know if he's going into the backfield or dropping into coverage. So yeah, you can tell
for sure. All right, guys, we got one more. We're gonna roll. All right, this one's a little shorter. It's only about 2 minutes. All right, this is Keyon Standifer from Athens Academy. We don't talk about them a lot, but let's see how his film looks. He's only a freshman. He's an athlete.
I'm pretty sure I've seen him at Georgia Elite in the past doing his thing.
Nice, just free release.
Yeah.
High point in the football right there. Got to get some hands on him. He's not your biggest receiver, but you can already tell he's a playmaker. Okay, right here, looks about 4 yards off the. Oh, looks like a press. Interesting. So great job right there exploiting the zone. That looked like a cover 3 right there.
He knew when to check down.
Yep, knew when to kind of stop his route. Ooh. That's just great release work. Let's look at that again, Craig. I want you to see that. That was just a great release. I mean, obviously he pressed him, but just look at the move he puts. Okay, so he's obviously impressed right here. Boom, look at the move he makes on him. That's just great. Great outside release to be able to free himself up for the big-time touchdown.
Yeah, you got the DB to flip with one step.
Yes, completely flip his hips. That's impressive. Okay, right here looks like he's probably going to have a free release about 10 yards off. Boom, right there. Nice job doing a curl route. Turn into a nice gain. Okay, got to look like a red zone right here. Woo. Big time, like interception right there. Great coverage on the back end. All right, this is Prince Ave right here. Yeah, same thing, free release. Breaks the tackle. Woo. Woo. That's nice.
That is epic.
That is nice. That's just making a play. He broke 3 tackles right there. That's incredible. I love we're going to get some defensive side on this one. Same team, Prince Ave, electric quarterback, and Aaron Philo. 1-on-1. Great job adjusting. Looks like PBU right there. Pretty impressive.
What?
Boom. Woo.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice job coming down, making that stick. That's impressive. All right, guys. So this is the Z position. That's the slot, aka
Okay.
again,
Another great release.
great release, free release. Nobody's pressing. Boom. I'm better than your defender. Break the tackle. 2 big tutties. It's impressive. Prince Al's one of those big teams. Those teams you're gonna see late. So I mean that was big time. What's your just standouts real quick, Craig?
Love the routes. Love that he can check down. He's got great ball skills, obviously, and he knows when to come back to the football. And that's a key because you want to factor in where's the down marker, but if there's a lot of defenders around you, you can come back and then find the space. That's how he turned that one into a huge touchdown. Keep it up.
I think that's something you talked about too. And we've been in some of the games, just like when a quarterback extends the play, the receivers keep running down. It's like come back to the ball, at least give your quarterback a target he can throw to, and then can turn into a big gain. So, as you mentioned, Craig, he does a great job doing that. So, shout out to Keyon Standifer. That's some impressive film, and he did it against some of the best teams. Prince Ave, I think, has just 1 loss this season. So he's been doing his thing, and he's impressive. Plays both sides of the ball, and I think his releases are incredible. And he gets the ball in open space. It's a problem.
Yep, bright future for sure. We will definitely be keeping track on you.
Yes, 100%. All right, guys. So let's move to the second segment. Georgia keeps rolling. Ladd McConkey actually won SEC Offensive Player of the Week. So before I get my standouts, just what stood out to you about the game, Craig? What were you impressed with? What Georgia kind of just putting their stamp on that game?
It just was so. If you're a Georgia fan, you're so happy because, okay, who's going to step up and be that guy? Well, Ladd's been hurt. Now he's back. And it's like Georgia, their offense can just go from, okay, we're going to just be physical and run it and be patient, or let's use our tempo. They have so many different things they can do and just seamlessly. They needed someone to step up. He cooked that defense the entire day.
I agree with you. Great point by you, because the biggest question going into the game was who's going to step up in the absence of Brock Bowers. I think we see it, like you said, Ladd McConkey finally healthy. Oscar Delp had some pretty good catches, former West Forsyth alum as well. But as you mentioned, I think they were never worried. That's why you go get weapons besides Brock. Obviously, he's one of the best players in college football, but obviously, you've seen they have other ways. But I think what was impressive was the defense shut down Florida and held them scoreless in the second and third quarter. They only scored that 1 touchdown and pretty much scoreless up until the fourth quarter. By that point, Georgia had a big lead. And as I mentioned, the big concerns were with Brock Bowers and how the offense will step up. We've seen how they did. And as you mentioned, Ladd McConkey, 6 catches, 135 yards, and a touchdown. He's one of my standouts. And I got to give some love to Dejon Edwards. That's who I said they should depend on, him and Kendall Milton. 16 carries, 95 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Edwards has just been consistent all season long. So got to give him some love, man. When you have that 1-2 attack, you take the pressure off the quarterback. Nonetheless, I think Carson Beck's coming into his own, right? 315 yards, passing, 2 touchdowns. He looks like he knows where his reads are. It looks like he knows where he wants to put the football. And I think he's answered some of the biggest questions people have had about his play. And regardless if Bowers plays or not, I think he's going to get the ball to his weapons, Rosemary Saint, obviously McConkey, Delp, and I think they're going to step up. So I think this might not be the season that Georgia's had in the past, just dominant all the way, but I think you've seen like they're starting to hit their stride in the most important part of the season.
Yeah, and then, God, I love Brandon Adams pointing out, just like it never gets old seeing that Florida sideline or Florida side of the field empty out in the second half. So think about how panicked Georgia fans were earlier this season.
Yep.
The scare in the South Carolina game, people were panicked. But this offense, you mentioned Dejon Edwards, he has the ability to balance out the offense throughout the game and then be a closer or get those physical, hard-earned yards. So they have the ability to take it slow, be aggressive. There's so many different playmakers, and that's a great win. And they got a big one against Mizzou coming up, but I think fans are feeling a lot better. Carson Beck, a lot of games under his belt as well. So they are looking good offensively, and then add that to the Georgia defense. It's another scary season if you're playing them.
For sure. And then we got to talk about the big one. I think we both smiled at this one. We both ended up picking Tech, but Tech wins their big game against North Carolina, their third straight. And I called out the running game, Craig, and their running game went off. Tech had ran for 350 plus yards. Dante Smith, got to give him some love, 178 yards and a touchdown. Big time performance, and I think Haynes King is coming into his own as well. I mean, he rushed the ball good. He had only 7 incompletions, 23 for 30 for 287 yards and 4 touchdowns. He was big down the stretch when the game was tight and close. And I gotta get some love. My game ball goes to Malik Rutherford. 6 catches, 83 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was big down the stretch for that Georgia Tech program and that offense when he needed it most in those big plays, especially in the red zone. But the big standout, fourth quarter, they won that quarter 22-7. So that's getting it done. We know this Tech team can put up points in bunches. They had a 24-14 second quarter, so I think that's the standout there. And then the big hit late, right? That basically sealed them the victory against Tez Walker. Hope he's doing okay. Heard he flew back with the team, but that was a big hit to force the fumble and kind of seal the win for them. But I don't know what it is with Tech. Like, they just win the big games, but it seems like when it's maybe an inferior opponent, they struggle a little bit, but they come to play with those big games.
Yeah, every single game has been exciting this year. So you could say the same thing. It's like, yeah, they get up for some opponents, down for others, but also every single game has been competitive. Before the season, what does Tech need to do? Exactly that. They need to bring excitement to the program. You pull off upsets like this, it's backed. And we're talking to DJ Shockley about it, what he's seen with what Coach Key's doing. Everyone's pumped up about it. And Haynes King, this guy is so impressive with his athleticism. I mean, that's really the key. He can throw on the run. He's a true dual threat guy. I think he's just a sophomore technically at this point. He's a guy that played basketball, ran track, was a state champion, 39-2 record in high school, transfers over there. And I think he's just like the good, solid leader they have. And then also just the ability to extend plays. You saw the last touchdown. He bought time, found his guy right in the corner of the end zone. That is exactly the type of quarterback Tech needs right now.
100%, and look like he's going to be a staple for them for a little while now. And I think, obviously he'll be the star next year, and they're going to get even better weapons coming in. They got a lot of good talent coming in from Georgia and other schools. They're nailing their recruiting. And as I said, Brinke's doing a good job. And I think they're going to be a team that's bowl eligible first time, I think, in 4 or 5 years. So they keep doing their thing, man. They're right there for the taking.
His athleticism, though, is elite. He says he runs a 4.5, 37-inch vertical. He's a guy that I think grew 2 inches before his senior year. He played in the U.S. All-American Bowl, was an SEC quarterback. And so I think they really found a guy that can, as they're making this step forward the next couple seasons, bringing in big recruits, establishing the foundation, I think they have the right guy at quarterback.
100% agree. Great take by you, Craig. And I agree. I think they got the right quarterback. They're going to be a good team to watch for next year. Don't be surprised if they end up becoming a 9-10 win team, especially with how it's all going. But let's go talk about our picks on the season for last week. Just how did you fare?
You beat me. You definitely beat me last week, and it's
oh man,
yeah, because we disagreed on it. Was for some reason I picked BYU. That was a bad take. Did I pick Oregon? No.
They picked Utah.
I picked Utah.
Yeah.
See,
that wasn't a bad pick, though. I mean, Utah was humming.
I mean, they didn't look that good. And then, yeah, because Utah against
they beat USC.
Yeah, but USC does not look good. When I was watching that game on Saturday and I saw them down in a huge hole to Cal, I was like, this is it. They're about to just spiral out of control. So they pulled that one off, but I couldn't believe that. I almost lost that pick too. I picked Kentucky, lost that one. I should have picked Tennessee. I don't know why I didn't. So it just wasn't a good week for me. You got me.
Yeah, I barely beat Craig. I think we're 2-2 now.
I did get the Georgia Southern one.
You did. I got to give you love there. I had State winning that game, that big-time rivalry. I was wrong on the Tennessee-Kentucky game, and I was wrong on the Colorado-UCLA. I thought Colorado would win that one. But 12-3 for me, good big-time week. I think it'll be interesting, man. But let's go ahead and look at week 9, man.
Well, you pointed out Colorado. You said that they just don't have the offensive line.
They don't. They can't protect. They can't run. So it puts a lot of pressure on Shador, and he's taking a beating. I think he had like 6-7 sacks in that game against UCLA. So if your defense has a strong front like an Oregon or UCLA, I mean, you're in trouble. Your defense was spectacular. They only had 7 points. They forced 4 turnovers. If your defense forces that, most of the time you're supposed to win the game. They lost the turnover ball and still won the game. UCLA did. So it just comes down to better protection. And they just heard they just landed a JUCO transfer recently in a few days ago. So I think Deion's going to look to try to upgrade that offensive line and be even better next year. I still think they can get bowl eligible and be able to compete for a bowl, but we knew this team wasn't going to be a contender for the playoffs just yet, right? It takes time, but next year I wouldn't be surprised if you can bring Shador back, you bring Travis Hunter back, you bring some of those new recruits in. Kamani McLean, who you've seen in person, if he can step up and take that big step next year, they're going to have
a little
some talent.
size, because he's only at like 155, but
yeah.
I can't remember in the Oregon game. Obviously, that was the first time they really got kind of exposed as a team. But correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't the offensive line just completely fall in that game too?
Yeah, they did.
Just like
great defensive front. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's definitely got to be a focus.
Yep. 100%. But let's look at week 9, man. Let's do some predictions. Some pretty good games on the slate this week. I'll start with my top ones, and then I'll let you go ahead and pick yours, Craig. So I got Kansas State versus Texas. A little chance to redeem yourselves. 25 versus 7. I think a big game for Texas, as Coach Sarkisian said, they deserve to be a top 4 team. And his odds, just beating Bama alone was the reason he said that. So that one, I'm going to roll with Texas.
I'm going with Texas, too. I'm not making that mistake again.
All right, Craig got Texas. All right, and then we got Missouri, Georgia. It's another ranked matchup between 2 great teams. So who you got coming on top on that one?
I got Georgia. I do think that this one could be closer than the Florida game.
Yeah.
Zeus had a history of kind of sneaking up on Georgia, too. They're an exciting team, but I am going to go with Georgia.
They are 7-1 too, so they're playing really good in the SEC East, one of the better years in recent memory. So yeah, can't sleep on Missouri, but yeah, at home I'm gonna roll with Georgia too. I think they come out on top. All right, Florida State versus Pittsburgh. It's one of these trap games. Pittsburgh already has a signature win already on the schedule. I think they beat one of those really, really good teams. So it's a trap game for Florida State, right? You don't want to go in there and overlook Pittsburgh. They're gonna come ready to play. They have all season, but I think I'm going to still roll with Florida State. I think they should come out on top and be able to win that one.
Yep, it's going to be on the road, but I got Florida State as well.
Yeah, I think they'll come out on top. All right, next one, we got Penn State versus Maryland. Should be another intriguing matchup between those two teams. Penn State's coming off kind of struggling a little bit against, I think it was Indiana they played. So they struggled a little bit now. When this is a road game, that one was at home. So we'll see if they can come out on top. I'm going to go upset. I think Maryland can upset them at home. Penn State struggled a little bit down the stretch in that game.
I'll go Penn State.
All right. That's the first one we disagree on, guys. So
road win.
Yep. All right. We got another big one on ESPN2. James Madison, who's undefeated, is going against Georgia State on the road. James Madison is high as number 23 in the Sun Belt right now, or just actually in the rankings, the AP poll. So who you got coming out on that one?
I got James Madison.
Ooh, I think another one we disagree. I'm going to go with Georgia State. More with the upset at home. I think they get back on track with Coach Sean Elliott and Darren Granger being able to pass the football and running it with Marcus Carroll. So I got to roll with Georgia State at home against James Madison. All right. Big time game here. I think this could be a trap game for Kansas. They come off that big victory against Oklahoma. They go on the road to Iowa State, who I think is also ranked. Who you got, Alan?
Got Kansas.
Yeah, I think so too. Hopefully they'll get their quarterback back. Their backup struggled a little bit in that game, 2 interceptions, but they ran the ball well, was able to hit enough of their weapons.
They almost blew it on me.
They did almost blow it, but I'm going to roll with Kansas too, so I think we're in agreement there. All right, big one right here, Craig. Washington, USC. It's going to be on ABC, 7:30 kick, one of the best games of this week. Who you got?
I got Washington on the road.
Yeah, they should win that. I mean, USC's been struggling, and yeah, I think
that defense is just not good at all.
No. And we've seen Colorado actually have success late in that game too, in the second half, and nearly come back. So I have to agree. I think their defense is kind of stopping them. I think Washington comes out on top too. So I think we agree there. All right, big one right here. Got LSU and Alabama. Will be on CBS. Late kick as well. Who you got on that one?
I got Alabama.
I'm going with LSU. I think LSU gets a big victory on the road with the Tigers. All right. And they're averaging, get this, LSU's averaging 40 points a game. So We'll see if that Bama defense comes to play. But I'm going to roll with the Tigers again. All right, Oregon State and Colorado. Ranked matchup for Oregon State. They did suffer a loss last week, but they're playing Colorado at home in Boulder. Who you got?
Got to go with Oregon State.
Woo.
First time I haven't picked Colorado,
I think I'm going to still roll with Colorado, even though they struggled a little bit. I think they'll be at home, late kick, 10 o'clock game. I think they get back on track. I think they're able to protect enough for Shedeur to be able to hit his weapons, Xavier Weaver, Michael Harrison, Travis Hunter. I think they get a big victory, and they reestablish themselves a little bit, go 5-4, get a big-time conference win. So I'm rolling with Colorado. All right, Notre Dame, Clemson. You got that one.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Notre Dame, too. I roll upset, but Clemson's struggling right now. Just lost to NC State. They're in a blunder right now. Even though they're at home, I got to roll with Notre Dame. I think they're the better team. I think they'll come out top. All right, kind of a trap game, too, for Ohio State. They play Rutgers. You got it, that one.
I got Buckeyes.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Buckeyes, too. I think you're right on that one. Should come out on top. All right, Craig, I'll throw it to you, man. What games you got?
Georgia Tech, Virginia.
Got to get my picks and write them down. I'm going to go Georgia Tech.
All right, same. All right, let's get a couple more. How about Nebraska and Michigan State?
That's an interesting one. I'm going to roll Michigan State.
I got Nebraska.
I
Disagree on that one.
I picked Georgia Tech.
A couple more good ones I saw. Okay. How about TCU and Texas Tech?
Who's home?
Texas Tech.
I'm going to roll with TCU. Yeah. I know they struggled this season, but they should come out on top. I got TCU.
I'm going Texas Tech.
Ooh. We differ on this week. Okay.
All right, and then let's find one more good one. Gosh, I know there's one I saw. Kentucky, Mississippi State.
Kentucky should win that. I got to go with Kentucky. I know they lost, but they Mississippi State's not that good this year. I got to roll.
I'll go Kentucky too.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
That's our picks, guys. So
well, actually, Miami, NC State.
Miami, they should win that. Yeah. I mean, I know NC State beat Clemson, but Clemson's in a rut right now. Miami should win that. Yeah, I got to roll with Miami. Roll up the Canes.
I'm going to NC State.
Ooh. It's a lot of picks.
Miami
man.
is not impressed me.
Ooh. All right, guys. So there you have it. Our college picks for the week. We will see. Okay, we got one more segment too, Craig, to close out this. We got to start. It's college football reveals tonight.
That's right.
Top 4 teams. So I think every week going forward, we should just name the top 6 teams we got in the nation right now. So, Craig, who you got, man? Top 6.
Let's see. Who do I want to make sure I'm not missing? All right, I'm going to say Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State. Oh, man, I don't want to leave anyone out. Obviously, Florida State. Washington, Alabama.
All right, that's Craig, top 6. All right, Craig, you have to keep track of that, man. See if it fluctuates a lot. My top 6, I got Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Florida State 3 over Ohio State. I think they have a more impressive resume. 4, Ohio State. 5, I got them pretty high. Texas. 6, I'm rolling with Washington. I got Washington over Oregon. They beat them head-to-head. I got to go with the head matchup you played. Washington looked better. So that's my top 6. Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, Ohio State, Texas, and Washington. We'll see how they rank them.
Yes, what did I say? I said Georgia,
Michigan,
said
Ohio State,
Florida State, Washington,
Bama.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to see who teams get in, but that's our top 6, so mark it down. We'll come back to this next week and see how the teams all fared. All right, So what's the third segment and wrap up the show for today? Gotta throw it to you, Craig. I know you're a big Chiefs fan, and obviously your team hits different parts of the season. But I think what I've learned in watching NFL for so long, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And you're going to have lumps and bruises. And we've seen kind of the 49ers go through that right now, 3-game losing streak. And, Chiefs lost to Broncos. As I said, man, them divisional games are different. Don't matter the records, throw out the records, tough teams. But just, you have any concern over that loss to Broncos?
Not too many concerns. The one thing that I think is hurting the Chiefs, the turnovers. They have never been this low in the league. I mean, I don't want to diss any other teams. But let's just say currently, there's a lot of teams where if you said, hey, they're at this level, you'd be like, wait, the Chiefs are turning the ball over that much? It's pretty crazy. So let's just see. So in terms of like third down percentage, all the things you want to be, they're top 5. They're getting it done. They're balanced. The defense has been playing well, but they are -4 in the turnovers, same as the Bears, same as the Browns, Raiders, Falcons. So the turnovers just have to stop.
I agree. I agree with that.
I know that's part of Mahomes' game and stuff, but it's been a problem. Like, you have a lot of good weapons. I don't think they need to be.
Do you put him? Obviously, he's not on his level, I don't think.
Well, and he was sick.
I was gonna say that too. I mean, he did have the flu.
But how funny is it? Like, just a couple years ago, it's like they were willing to like penalize teams and like give them losses. Now guys can play with the flu again. I guess that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I guess so. My question to you is, do you have the concern that maybe like a Bills fan or has for kind of just Josh Allen with the way he turned over the ball with Mahomes?
That's a good question.
Yeah. Is it up there for you? I don't feel like it's that up there for you for this Mahomes. Because I feel like he turns out more good than bad.
Yeah, I feel like with Mahomes, that's part of his style. Yeah. With Josh Allen, it's like that's just something that could happen at any given time. It's always just like it's like fumbles and stuff. It's just like crazy.
Yeah,
like he'll botch a snap. It's like so I don't think with Mahomes like he can shake it off.
Right.
But it's certainly been a problem. And then there's some other interesting stats. Just when you're looking at who's doing well this season, did you know the Bengals are the least penalized team in the league?
They're usually that's where they hang their hat. I mean,
and so you have other stats where it's like they might not be since the slow start as good on like third down percentage, but when you aren't committing penalties, that's going to give you a huge boost. And I also think it's worth noting the least penalized team. So next time you guys are playing the Chiefs in the playoffs and they try to give us a first down on a penalty, Bengals fans should say, wait a second, we're actually the least penalized. So maybe you need to check that before you throw the flag on
That's a good
crucial
point
situation.
That's a good point out, Craig.
Keep that one in your pocket.
I like that. That's a true Chiefs fan right there. He just tells it unbiased. I love that. But, yeah, I would say for me real quick, I don't really have a concern. It's a divisional game. Mahomes is sick. The receivers struggled a little bit in that game, some drop balls and things like that. But I think they'll turn it around. Maybe the Chiefs are biased at the deadline. I mean, I don't know if you see the game last night, but Devontae Adams looks pretty frustrated in that Raiders offense. So maybe a team makes a deal for him. I know it's a hefty contract.
Devontae Adams is frustrated.
Yeah.
I
don't know if you've seen him slam his helmet, but it's wide open on two go balls. So I know he's a little irritated with that. But, yeah, I think they'll be fine. But the big game this week, I think one of the games of the week, Craig, Dolphins, Chiefs in Germany, 9:30 kick. I'll start this one. Some interesting stats. Chiefs, as you mentioned, turn over the ball too much. Chiefs need more turnovers, right?
Yeah.
Second leading tackler is Trent McDuffie. Then got L'Jarius Sneed and Justin Reed. So I pointed these three guys out because they play in the secondary. Tyreek Hill's playing his former team, as he mentioned, going into the game. It's just another game for him, he feels, but it's going to be nice to play against old teammates and stuff like that. But they got to find a way to be able to slow him down, right? You can't let him go off for a field day. Steve Spagnuolo's going to have to bring his hard hat in that one. I think, it's going to be interesting to see, right? I think with pressure, Tua can struggle a little bit more. So it'd be interesting to see. Spagnuolo is known for disguising and bringing exotic blitzes and changing things up. So it'd be interesting to see if he blitzes a lot or does he play on the front four to kind of get home and play a lot of drop 8 coverage. We'll see what he decides to do, but I think that'll be really intriguing to see what kind of game plan he has into that game. But that's those three. They got to have a good game. It's not just Tyreek. Obviously, you got Jalen Waddle. You got the tight end. They can run the ball with Mostert, but they got to be able to win that matchup against Hill. I mean, if you can keep them under 100 yards, I say you've done your job. That's my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, the Dolphins in the last game, just that pass and tackle looked next level. Multiple guys going off for over 100. I think you said it though. They can get the pressure to them, and then Miami they were one-dimensional when they played the 49ers. Maybe the Chiefs, I think they've got a really talented secondary. There's got some young guys back there that are going to be able to play well, apply some pressure. I think you could see some turnovers go in their favor. I think that's the only favorable part. Other than that, I'm more concerned just the consistency offensively. It's like they're either hot or cold. So if the Chiefs come out and they aren't like clicking on all cylinders, Miami's going to win. They're too explosive.
Yeah, and I think it was another interesting part, just the matchup with the receivers. Obviously, what would Miami run defensively, right? Will they try to double Travis Kelce, or will they just try to take him away and have the Chiefs receivers beat them? Which obviously they're capable of doing, but that secondary is getting healthier for Miami, right? You got Xavier Howard back there. You got Jalen Ramsey, who just came back, had an interception his first game back. So I think that's an interesting matchup to watch for, too, between those two teams. How the receivers will look and the playmakers look for the Chiefs. And can Pacheco get back on track? I think it's 3 or 4 games he hasn't had 100 yards. So can he get back on track?
I think that one's going to literally just come down to the last play.
Yeah.
It should be extremely close.
Yes.
Definitely interested in that one.
For sure.
And you mentioned, it's one of those international games. Those are always unique in their own way.
Yep. All right, next topic. How concerned should we be about the 49ers? I think for me, as they get healthier, I think it would be better. Obviously, Purdy has not looked the same since Debo's gotten hurt. Obviously, depends on him a lot. His touchdown to interception ratio has gone up, or gone down, excuse me. I still think they're Super Bowl contenders. I think there's just different parts. The season's so long. You have ruts you go through. And the defense is not clicking how it was early on in the season. We've seen them dismantle Dallas. We've seen them look as one of maybe the top teams competing for a Super Bowl this year. They just need Brock to stop turning over the ball. And I think the bye comes at a good time and get the rest, 2 weeks, come back. And they got a tough one, man. They play Jacksonville off the bye week. So they're going to get another big test for them. But I think just teams are scheming them well, Craig. I mean, they're doing 5 in the box and then stop the run so they don't have that play action to build off of and hit those deep routes. But I think you got to get Ayuk more involved, and I think you got to depend on Kittle a little bit more. They both had good games, but they got to be able to change some things up. And then I think Kyle Shanahan's a genius, so I think he'll figure it out.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, as good as they started, they looked dominant. I think one of the last remaining unbeatens, and they lose 3 straight, and you got a red-hot Jacksonville team
off the bye.
Yeah, you really need this win. So got to get back on track. And they just haven't been in this situation the last few seasons, especially with Brock at quarterback. They need him to just be that steady quarterback and get that offense going. But I think you're right about Shanahan.
Yeah. He doesn't lose too many battles. I mean, I think he got.
I'd expect him to beat Jacksonville.
Yeah. And, I think Lou had just a better game defensively scheming. But, yeah, I think they'll be fine, man. That'll be going. All right, Craig. Before we look at some of the top games this week in the NFL, which is a really good slate, just what's your biggest takeaway from this weekend in the NFL?
I really like the Philadelphia Eagles. I consider them the favorites at this point. Just going to be straight up. And it's exactly what you want to see from their offense. Jalen Hurts, he's not running the ball more than 8 times a game. But the fact that that's a part of his game, it's like that just makes they have something unique with that. He's so good. His numbers have been ridiculous, and they just look impressive. I think as some of these other teams have had off weeks, have had the turnovers, he's completely focused, not turning the ball over. He's getting it done. Just an outstanding season.
For sure. My biggest takeaway, I got to give some love to Jacksonville. We just talked about them in their big game they got coming up after the bye against 49ers. But they've won 5 consecutive games, right? And they beat a big-time Pittsburgh team that has a really good defense. And their defense looks for real, man. They shut down that Pittsburgh offense, didn't allow them to really get anything going, only 1 touchdown given up. They look the real deal, man, and they're starting to run away. If you look at the standings, Craig, with the AFC South, they got a 2-game lead right now. They get to get healthy and rest, and then they come with that big game against San Fran. But they just got a multitude of ways they can beat you. Travis Etienne's come into his own as a running back. He's been dependable and reliant all year. Big time game, touchdown, a lot of scrimmage yards against Pittsburgh, and they got a lot of weapons. Evan Ingram looks really good in that offense as another weapon at tight end position. They got Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley. It's got a lot of people they can just throw at you, man. And that defense is playing some good ball. So that's going to be a matchup. I mean, when we talk about games next week, Jacksonville and the 49ers, man, I think not necessarily a must win for Jacksonville, but if you want to keep that stride going and stay on the top of that division, big game for them to kind of, keep afloat. And the 49ers get back on track. They are a half game behind now on Seattle.
That's right. Seattle's got some big matchups coming up, including obviously the one against the 49ers.
Yep.
Thought the Dolphins had another big win. Talking about another team that's trying to stay on top of a really competitive division. They dominated New England on third downs defensively. So can they keep that up against the Chiefs, one of the better third down teams, not only this season, but over the years?
100%.
Especially if you look at how it breaks down, like the Chiefs, I think they're top 3 in the league in getting the first down, but they're doing it through the air. Like with Mahomes, they're so good at those short passes. So that's the big test. They shut it down against the Pats this week, but it's going to be a lot different just with the Chiefs and just having to watch out for the shovel passes, everything.
100%. All right, Craig. I got to go here. What games are you most looking forward to watch this week in the NFL? I'll let you start.
All right, let's go. This week.
Some good ones.
Yeah, week 9. Yeah, we got Seahawks, Ravens.
Yeah, that's
Ravens,
the one I got too. I mean, Seattle, big win against the Browns. Geno Smith looking good, defense looking good, and Ravens are balling 6-2, big time home game. I'm sure that'll be the featured game on either Fox or CBS. But yeah, that's a lot of implications on that one.
Yeah, those are the two teams that I think they've thrown their hat in the Super Bowl picture for sure.
Yes.
Cowboys, Eagles, always a good one.
Always, man. And the thing about that one, real quick, Craig, is Jerry Jones already came out and said he doesn't want to poke the bear. She's not going to say too much regarding the matchup. Usually he has a lot to say, but he said he's not going to. Dak said pour honey all over it. He's poking the bear. He don't care. It's just a big game. Why it is? Because the Eagles are 7-1. They're almost, in a sense, kind of running away with the NFC. Dallas can kind of bring them back to earth with a win, and then they'll have that division lead as well. And then Philly's coming off. They're already 2-0 in the division. Haven't played the Giants yet. This will put them 3-0 in the division, and it'll be 8-1. That will push Dallas to 5-3. Big time game between both teams. One can get kind of a big lead. The other one can kind of bring them down to earth. Big time match at 4 p.m. on Fox. That's the game of the
Philly
week.
too. That's going to be so tough, man.
Yes.
The Cowboys is a big test for them.
Yes.
They're going into a tough environment for sure.
Yes.
And I'm sure we'll see some viral cell phone footage from the fan bases.
100%.
Keep it clean, guys.
Yes. My next one is Dolphins Chiefs, as we just talked about. Dolphins don't have a signature win all year, right? This would be a signature win over 500 team, a Super Bowl contender. I still think in the Chiefs. So if they're able to win that one, that'll be interesting. And we talked about the matchups and what to watch for already. So I think that's a top matchup between those both teams. Can't have explosive offenses. Defenses are coming on. Chiefs defense is much improved. As you mentioned, got to clean up the turnovers and get more turnovers. So.
Yep. And then let's see. I mean, Thursday, this one might be interesting. Titans, Steelers, both of those teams, it's like, I mean, the Titans have picked up some decent wins. I think they're well coached. They obviously aren't, in my mind, like a big-time contender, but it should be interesting. Two teams that I think could potentially get a wild card. Steelers should be favored, but you never know with the Titans.
It's a big game, as you mentioned, and you never know with the Titans. And it looks like they're not going to trade Derrick Henry. You just had DeAndre Hopkins come off that big game with 3 touchdowns. I think he had only maybe like four catches, 120 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He balled. So they're going to have to find him defensively. And Will Levis looked good in his first career start for the Titans. So he might be the answer moving forward for them. Maybe they finally found the quarterback. That remains to be seen. We'll find out. But yeah, for Pittsburgh, you don't want to lose another game at home. You're 4-3. You got a big win against the Ravens this season as well, but you don't want to lose this AFC game. This could be big down the stretch when it comes to standings and playoff implications and sliding in and things like that. We see teams like the Titans or last year the Jacksonville kind of in a tough spot, 3-4, but hitting their stride and getting big wins, and these games mattering down the stretch. So big game for the Steelers, and they're going to probably be without Kenny Pickett. So
yeah, no, that'll get things started. And then
yes,
Bills Bengals, obviously that's going to be a good one Sunday night. Is this the? I'm trying to think. If the Bengals win this, are you back on board? Like, okay, this is what I expected preseason. Like, you dealt with the Burrow injuries, all this other stuff. Will this convince you that they're back where they were?
that's such a great question, Craig. Great question by you. It depends how they look. If they look dominant, yes. I'm waiting to see them match up against the Ravens. I think that's their true test because that's the division leader. They play in a couple of weeks on Thursday Night Football. That's when I know we're back if we can beat them pretty handily or just battle, contend with them and win. But I will say Buffalo's struggling a little bit. But if their offense looked how they looked against San Fran, an elite defense, just regardless if they're in their stretch or not, they can go up against any defense and put up those numbers. So my biggest thing, if their offense gets back and they do what they did last week against San Fran and they put up that amount of points, I say offensively, I think they're back. Defensively, man, they've been balling all year. As you mentioned, the turnovers, least penalized team. It's a big test, man. Home game. Hopefully the energy's good. We know what happened last year, unfortunately, with the Damar Hamlin situation. But he might be out there playing. So it's a big game, man. I love whoever created this game from Sunday night. Big time matchup between two really good quarterbacks. Let's see who comes out on top.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
And your offense last week was
That was
probably
hard.
the most efficient game I've seen in a while.
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty close to perfect. So
Yeah.
a big statement win over the Bills. I think that would. I mean, people still might not talk about the Bengals as much as they should, but I think that would be good for them.
Yeah.
Especially after the shaky start.
100%. And then we don't want to go with the rivalry we have with you guys, the Chiefs, later on in the season and be, under 500 or be struggling. We want that to be a top-tier matchup. Both of us well over 500, contending for a division title and battling it out at 4:25 p.m. on, I think, was that New Year's Eve? And going at it. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. Two superstar quarterbacks. I mean, that's what we want to see.
Yep, and I think we'll get it. But I always like watching the Bills and Bengals. That'll be fun.
Yes, but that's all we got for today, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. We will see you guys next week. Craig, who you got for tomorrow?
It's a good question. I'm thinking I might get Providence Christian on.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
I've been trying to get him, so I'll check in a bit. But that's what I'm shooting for.
You got to ask him about Caleb Lee.
That's right.
Yes, sir.